Welcome to Best Wellness Interviews, where successful people share their thoughts on wellness and some key strategies that they use for their health and well-being. I'm Kristine Best, and I am a wellness strategist, and I'm your host today. Thank you very much for being here. And my guest today is Lorenzo Payman. How are you, Payman?
I'm doing wonderful. As we say back home, I'm doing fantabulously well. Thank you. How about you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Now, I would love for you to introduce yourself and what you do.
Oh, wow. So I'm a Canadian expat. Been living most of my adult life overseas, currently in Vietnam, Da Nang. What I do a few things. I'm a podcaster. I published a few books. Four-time number one international best-selling author, prolific podcaster, 340, 50 episodes in 3.5 years. That completely changed my life. I have an academy where I work with coaches and authors, and I help them out to launch a profitable podcast in 3 weeks and then help them get leads on demand within 30 days, even if you have no audience. But most importantly, what I do, I help them identify the true zone of genius, identify the true gifts, and then we help them craft their messaging, their offer, their podcast, and their business around that. So this is what I do, and I'm a collector. I love collecting success stories. When people ask me, what do you do? I don't tell them I'm a podcaster or an author. I say I'm a collector. What do you collect? I collect success stories, testimonials. My motto is, the first question I ask people when I talk to them, when I work with them, is how can I make you shine brighter than you're currently shining? How can I help you win? And that's what I mean when I say I'm a collector. My mission is to help other people shine and win. And when they win and when they shine, of course, that makes me shine and win as well. So it's a win-win for all parties involved. And I love helping, inspiring, empowering. As I said, on top of being a collector, I'm a cheerleader. I love being a cheerleader for people to help them, especially if they're looking to go after their dreams, to believe in themselves. That's why something I've done all my life, even before I even knew what psychology or motivational speaker was. And I'm a connector. I love bringing people together, connecting people together, hosting events, and helping people have a good time while teaching them valuable things in a fun environment. It's what I've done, both in person and events, as well as online. So that's a high level. And I'm a globetrotter. I've lived in 14 countries on 4 continents, speaking 6 languages. I'm currently in Vietnam and looking to. Well, I do love Vietnam. Maybe I'm gonna go back home in the summer to Canada to visit family. But after that, I will take a look at the map and close my eyes and throw a dart and see where it lands and go there.
Well, that's
So
pretty
that's
awesome
me.
that you have the freedom to be able to do that.
That's how I built my life. My life could have been so much easier back in 2007. I had the opportunity to go to law school. I was about to send my application to law school. My path was already planned, become a high-powered international lawyer. But then a book changed my life, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. I ended up not sending my application, to absolute horror and dismay of my parents. I thought I'd lost my mind
Yeah.
for throwing away such a beautiful, prestigious career. But then I
Mm.
started my online business that took me around the world. And even though it's been quite challenging, at times very challenging, but I would not change anything because it's been so much more fulfilling. And the
Right.
person I am today is a result of that. And that's what we're gonna,
Yeah.
I believe, unpack today.
So your life wasn't always just, a bed of roses, was it?
It
You went
never
through a very
was.
difficult time at one stage. Do you want to just tell us a little about that? Because I find that quite interesting when people go through difficult times. It's a mentally challenging time, and it
Yeah.
takes an effect on you, your overall wellness. And I'm very interested to know how that affected you. What was it like for you? Would you like to tell us a little
Sure.
about that?
I have quite a few of those, but the one I really want to share is that back in 2018, 19, I was living in China. I went there for a job I couldn't refuse. As a football coach, football is my religion. So getting paid to work as a football coach in China for me was a dream come true. I went there, worked for 2 years as a coach, and then building businesses online, especially e-commerce, doing events that worked well. And then I get into building a football business, bringing professional teams from Europe and South America to China. I dropped everything because that to me was like winning the jackpot. Tried to put everything on it. It didn't, long story short, it didn't work out. And I literally ran out of money. And then at the end of 2018, I moved to Hong Kong. And Hong Kong 2019 was not the best time because Hong Kong was going through a lot of turmoil, a lot of protests when China was trying to erode the rights of Hong Kongese people, and it wasn't a good place for business. But I had no choice. I was literally homeless. If it wasn't for a friend of mine that allowed me to crash at this place for free for a year, something I'll never forget, I would have been on the street, and I was living on $20 a week. Imagine living on $20 a week in one of the most expensive cities in the world, Hong Kong. That was me, It was a very challenging time, but also it was a very interesting time because on one hand, I was completely broke financially, but on the other hand, I was some of my happiest moments. So if you met me in Hong Kong, you would have seen me as a guy with a three-piece suit with no money in his pocket. Only two people knew that. My buddy Lucien that hosted me and my older sister, my younger sister, my brother, my father, they didn't know that. So it's because I was hosting events. As I said, I'm a connector, hosting events on e-commerce. I was making a lot of high-powered networking, but whatever I was trying was not working. I got into a funk. I got into depression, even suicidal thoughts because nothing was working. I knew what to do because I was the one literally teaching that. I was hosting events, but whatever I was trying for me wasn't working. So as a result of that, because I had run out of money, my credit was destroyed. My credit got canceled. I literally had to ask my sister at the start of the pandemic to book my ticket back from Hong Kong to Canada. I will never forget that day, Tuesday, the 25th of February 2020, right at the start of the pandemic. I landed in Toronto Pearson International with only $200 to my name as a 39-year-old guy. It's not a good place to be.
No.
But I never gave up. I knew I could get out, but I never gave up. And then that's, everything happens for a reason at the right time. Two things started changing my life. The first one was learning the tremendous power of questions and asking the right question. Like before that, when something bad happened to me, I used to ask very disempowering questions, negative questions such as, why me? What did I do? What did I do to deserve this? Why is life so unfair? Where is God? And whine like a little bee.
That's the blame mentality, victim mentality kind of thing.
Exactly. And when you whine like a little bee, nothing good comes out of it. And then I learned and realized to ask better questions, more empowering questions, such as, what is this trying to teach me? What is a lesson for me to learn to that? And that applies to everything, whether it's financial struggles, challenges, betrayals, trauma, abuse, sickness, tragedy. It doesn't matter. Life is a school. We come here to learn, grow, and become better.
It's a roadblock, isn't it? And you've just got to find your way around it,
Exactly.
over it, through it, whatever you have to do. Yeah.
Doesn't matter what happens. Always ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? What is a lesson for me to learn to that? And only then will you be able to really see what that obstacle is, what it is. Just a stepping stone for you to prepare you for what's next in your journey. So that was the first piece of the puzzle to allow me to get back on my feet in every sense. The second aspect was understanding and listening to that voice, my gut feeling, my hunches, your instincts, because that's your soul talking to you. And your soul has two purposes, two main ones: protect you, keep you safe and alive, and to guide you to the next phase of your journey. Late summer 2020, with family, we live in a small town outside of Toronto in the countryside, and Canada was one of the strictest countries in terms of restriction during the pandemic. Couldn't go out, couldn't get a job. And late summer, lunch with family, completely disconnected from business, an idea pops in my head. Start a podcast. What do you mean start a podcast? It kept on coming for weeks, until finally, in October of 2020, I started my podcast. And the podcast I started, the microphone that I bought a few months earlier, I couldn't buy it. I asked my sister to buy it because remember, I didn't have any credit card anymore.
Yeah.
So I bought my microphone in March of 2020, not knowing what to do with it. And I also registered the name Leaders with a Heart. Again, I asked my sister to do it. That name just popped in my head, Leaders with a Heart. But I had no idea how to leverage it, but I did it back around March of 2020. Only later on, 6 months later, that's when I found out that, hey, I have to start my podcast, and this is the brand. And this is me starting my podcast was one of the most transformational, instrumental decision of my life. Actually, the three most life-changing decisions I've made over the last 5 years have all come as a result of me asking better questions and listening to that voice. First step was starting my podcast. Second step was starting my academy. And the third step was sharing my story in my first book. And now I've been blessed to start to do 4 books. Four-time number 1 international best-selling author, my academy, completely changed my life. But beyond the financials, yes, we only need to make money. And I'm tremendously grateful for the financial blessings. But the greatest gift podcasting blessed me with was killing my shyness. I used to be painfully, extraordinarily shy. The people that knew me from before, when they see me now all the time on Facebook and YouTube, interviewing people, me and being interviewed, they ask me, what happened to you? Did you make a pact with the devil? I said, no, I found my voice, my purpose.
So what really changed you from being shy? Can you give us the inside information?
I realized that, hey, because I was so shy, incredibly shy, because I have a big nose, no hair, used to be fat, and family events, I was the guy always taking the pictures. I was really on the pictures unless I really had to. And then I realized it's not about me or how I look, but about sharing my experiences, my story, my wisdom, and yes, my gifts, because we all have gifts. And once I understood that, that's what allowed me to say, you know what, screw it, F it, I don't care. I'm gonna go and share because I had no other options. Remember, I couldn't get a job. Canada was very strict in pandemic. I had to find a way to make money. And when I started my podcast, for the first year, I was a headless, clueless chicken. I had no idea how to do podcasting, how to monetize or anything. But this is what got me on my way, on my path. But podcasting allowed me to overcome my shyness, because having conversations all day, from the moment I wake up to the moment I literally pass out on my desk, I was having calls with people. And I love that. That was part of it. That process has been instrumental in me, not only in my growth, but also in my own spiritual awakening, and also in me understanding who I truly am and what I truly want, finding my voice, my purpose. So all of that played a role in me overcoming my shyness, because ultimately, just like the saying says, there's a saying that says the sky is the limit, but I completely disagree now with the knowledge and the wisdom I have. It's not, the sky is not the limit. The limit is what's here.
Absolutely. Yep.
It's not the sky.
No, it's
Because
all
the sky,
within you.
yeah, because the sky can be as high as just 1 centimeter above your head, literally.
Yeah.
That's not the limit. The limit is whatever you hold in here.
Yeah,
So
that's
once
right.
I understood to control, another thing that really changed my life and that allowed me to turn things around was taking control of my thoughts and not allowing negative thoughts come into my mind, my play. One of the best things I've done in my life was completely cutting off news. I don't watch the news anymore, the TV or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because when was the last time you had anything uplifting, empowering, and positive on the news? It's all about murder, crisis,
it's all
rape,
negative.
terrorism.
Yep.
Precisely to keep you in a state of fear. And when you're in a state of fear, your vibration is much easier to control.
Yeah. Negative thoughts and limiting beliefs are the thing that limit most people.
On things that you have no control over, that make your blood boil. Again, on things that absolutely no control. Instead, I decided to focus on things that I can control, that matters to me, such as my business, my health, my family, things I enjoy doing. And if something is important, you will hear about it. You don't need to be glued on TV, in front of the TV for hours. No. So for me, other than understanding the tremendous power of questions, listening to the voice, also controlling my thoughts, not allowing negative thoughts to come in my mind, and also be very careful of the thoughts I entertain in my mind and the words I speak, because what you entertain, you speak, and what you speak, you manifest. So these are the things that really allowed me to turn my life around. But again, it all started with here. And the most important thing, changing my story, changing the story I'm telling myself. The story that you change, there's a cheesy line, change your story, change your life. And it's not cheesy, it's absolutely true. The moment you stop telling yourself the victim mentality, the victims, oh, it's his fault, her fault, it's the fault of where I was born, how I grew up. No, None of that is holding you back. What's holding you back is here.
So
The
once you
story you tell yourself.
changed, yeah, it's in your mind. So once you realized the power of your thoughts, there was no chance that depression was going to come back. And there was no chance that, you
No,
were going to get unwell again, like, because depression creates a state of unwellness mentally and physically because you don't feel like doing anything. You isolate yourself, and that's not healthy socially. And so it affects a whole lot of wellness aspects once you
yeah,
go down that spiral. So there is no way that depression is going to come back when you have positive
absolutely.
thoughts, when you can see that you are living your purpose. It's about finding your purpose and what you're good at and how you can help others. That's a great formula for a happy life.
Absolutely. And especially once you understand that nothing happens to you but for you, and asking the right question, what is this trying to teach me? The
Mm,
most painful situation in life you go can be and is the most beautiful gift and blessings. I
mm,
can't tell you, Kristen, how many times for the last 3.5 years and 300, almost 350 episodes of the podcast, I had people that literally were diagnosed with terminal cancer. And they told me 10, 20 years later, oh, wow, that was the greatest thing that happened to me. What? How can you say that? I had people that lost it all, ended up in jail,
yeah.
lost their marriage, the family, the children, the
Mm,
businesses, the identity. And
mm.
then they came back and said, well, that was the greatest gift of my life. See, how can you say that? By looking at things from what they truly are and asking the right question, not what did I do to deserve this? Why is life unfair? Why? But what is it trying to teach me?
When
You know,
people
your
get when
your
people get
pain,
low,
yeah, your crap is your gold, literally.
it is. I agree. And when you're at your lowest, it actually makes you look internally, doesn't it?
Oh,
That's the key.
absolutely.
So you have to know yourself. You have to understand yourself. You have to see where you went wrong and how you can change whatever behaviors you might have had, and those negative thoughts, of course. And that is the game changer. And a lot of people bounce back. Well, when you hit the bottom, you can bounce back, right?
There's only one way up. And also because, you know, it's life is a school. Just like in school, you take your lesson, you learn, and then eventually you teach it to others. You have to overcome all the crap yourself, take those gifts, become wise, and then share those lessons, share those wisdom, share those gifts with others. From
Mm,
my humble understanding, after my awakening, is that 5% of what we are here is ourselves become better, wiser through learning and overcoming challenges. But then the 95% is taking those lessons, those wisdom, those gifts, and sharing it to others so we can all collectively rise through whatever means is more comfortable for you. For me, it's through speaking in my books. For someone else, maybe through painting, acting, sports, music, whatever it is. Find
mm.
your outlet,
Yep.
share your gifts.
Well,
That's
that's what happens when people hit the bottom. They realize they've been living life on the wrong path, and they need to be in alignment with who they really are and not living other people's expectations or,
absolutely.
society's expectations. It's about what God gave you as a talent and using that and not suppressing that, because that's usually where your passion is. That's usually what lights your fire. That's what, brightens your day, when you do the things you're meant to be doing. And it's not like work then. You're doing what you love to do. And a lot of
And
people don't do that. They get the job that their parents think they should. And you said you didn't do that. And okay, you took a little dive, but from that, you found your purpose, right? And
well,
so
I did do
everybody
the
can do that.
I did do the corporate life for 10, 12 years in Canada.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
I did it just because that's I thought what I was supposed to do.
Mm. Yeah, that's right. And you find what you want to do, and then your quality of life is so much better.
Yeah. And it's all you mentioned something important is because most people do not take the time to actually find out, identify what is the true zone of genius, what is the true gifts,
Mhm.
why they are because once you identify and understand what is your true zone of genius, what it's your gift, then something even deeper happens. You
Mm.
start to learn and realize who you truly are and why you're here. What is your purpose, your mission, so to speak, in this lifetime? And that gives you a map, a blueprint of something that's going to really give you the ultimate fulfillment. And in the process, also, impact others and make the kind of money that you truly deserve so you can bless others.
A lot of people live their life according to the way their parents say they should live, and how they learnt at school, and how they learnt at church, and how they learned in different groups they belong to, and their friends influence, and everybody influences you, right? And you take on people's expectations and the conventions of the society within which you live, and that's kind of how you live your life. But it's not who you are deep within quite often. And this is what I'm dirty on, the way society is and the education system, because it doesn't actually teach people how to tap into their own resources, discover themselves. And it quite often happens much later in life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no early or late. You are where you're meant to be.
That's right. It's
You
at
know,
the right time.
your only competition is the Kristine of yesterday. The competition is not me, it's not your neighbor, it's not your brother, sister, or your colleague, as you, the version of you yesterday.
Yeah, and you
That's your
just
only
want to be a better
competition.
person. You're not trying to compete with other people, because that's where
No.
people go wrong as well. They compare themselves, and that's not the right thing to do. You compete with yourself and say, like, I'm going to be better tomorrow than I am today, so I'm going to do X, Y, Z, whatever it is. And so one thing at a time, and you get better at that, and you take on something else and you learn how to do that, or you tweak whatever it is it didn't quite work, or and you, each step you take in the is in the right direction. It's progressing
Yeah.
rather than
Just be
regressing.
each day, just become 1% better than yesterday. 1%. That's all it takes. Whether that's one extra call, one extra email, whatever you have to do, just do one more, one more, one more, 1% more. That's it.
Mm.
And if you combine that over time, it becomes your life changes. It becomes 30 days, you're 30% better. And in a year, you're a completely different person.
Yeah, and I like what you said about helping others, and that most of what you do should be to help others. And there's a
Absolutely.
great joy that comes back when you've helped someone move forward in their life, right?
Yeah.
You've got a few success stories. What's the best thing that's ever happened to you? What do you think is your best
The best
story?
success story. Well, my website is full of that. I'm a collective success stories, but the one that always comes to mind is my dear friend Jaime Lunquez Munoz from Colombia. He's been living in California. The first call we had, I could really identify with him. He was like this. Hi, my name is Jaime. I'm from Colombia. I live in California. He was like this.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Mm.
The greatest gift for him has allowed him to open his throat chakra. And he's a very established, very successful man in his profession, very talented. But because his throat chakra was closed, he wasn't very confident in himself when he was talking. Nobody was taking him seriously. And as a result of that, he was
That's
always
right.
limited how far he can go. And
Mm.
now when he speaks, he's commanding. He's got charisma. He's a different person. And the process of the last 3 years, 3.5 years, he's become a different person. He's done multiple books as a contributor. He's done 2 books of his own. Even had his 12-year-old daughter share her chapter in one of his books, which is amazing. And he's going places. He's built an incredible community of over 10,000 followers. He's doing amazing. And each time I see him, I say, wow, I can't believe how far you come. I'm really proud of you. Because again, it's not just about the money. It's about, when they say the reward is not the $1,000,000, but the person you become in the process.
Yeah.
If you help someone overcome whatever is holding them back here, or the throat chakra, or whatever, that is infinitely more valuable than any amount of money. Because with this, there's no limit of how much money, how much impact or successful you can become. That's
Yeah,
just one
it's not about
example.
the money, because it's good to
Yeah,
have money, because then you can actually share the money,
sure.
not just your talents. And
Absolutely.
I'm working on a sustainability farm project in Uganda
Wow,
with 2 other businessmen.
amazing.
And so we're in the process of setting up a charity right now so that we can take it to the next level. because
Beautiful.
we want to use that as a model. And when it's successful and up and running, we can use that model in various other areas around the world. And that way, we're not just helping one person, we're actually helping communities. And we're changing the lives of thousands of people to be self-sustainable. And I think that that's awesome, to use money in that way, that you're sharing resources like that, not just money, but your knowledge, your skills, your expertise to help others. And it's very rewarding to see people, put those things into place that you've given them, and to be able to look after themselves and not live in poverty or homeless.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As I always say, we all need to make money, but let's do so in a way that is meaningful, impactful, and purposeful. For me to win doesn't mean you have to lose. I win, you win, he wins, she wins. We all win together.
It's win-win-win. Yeah, that's a good formula. I like that.
I go beyond. For me, win-win is no longer enough. I look always, whenever I get into anything, I look for what can I do to make it a no-brainer. No-brainer for you, for me, for anyone involved. My life changed the moment I switched from me, what's in it for me, to how can I serve you? How can I help you? How can I make you shine? How can I help you win? Because the more people you help, just like Zig Ziglar said, help other people get what they want, and you will get all you want.
Yeah,
Also, because we as human beings, we have this sense of reciprocity. You do something good for me without you asking it, I feel that I need to do something back to you. It's how we are wired. It's as long as the
it's a
person is not
human
a
thing.
psychopath,
Yeah,
they will a selfish psychopath. Anyone that you do good things for them, they will want to reciprocate.
they do. And
So,
yeah, even as something as simple as a smile
oh,
will be
absolutely,
passed on to other people. So if you do something even kinder, imagine how much impact that has on someone. And they
absolutely,
might not give it back to you, but they'll give it to somebody else. But
straightforward. Yes,
it still comes back to you in some way or another. And
because
it's
we're
a
all
really good
connected.
feeling. And that's a much better I don't know, image to build up rather than one that's negative and selfish. And I mean, people who don't want to share, they just want to take, take, take. That's not a good image. People don't want to associate with people like that so much. So it's much better to share. And if you give someone a helping hand, someone will give you a helping hand up.
Absolutely,
It
because we're all
works.
connected.
What goes around comes around kind of thing.
We all drops of the same ocean, literally and figuratively speaking. So when you hurt someone, you're hurting yourself. When you help someone, you're helping yourself, even
Yes.
though physically it might not seem that way.
No, but it does come back. And
Oh,
apart from that, you feel
faith.
good about yourself. And that's an important thing. People forget about themselves, taking care of self, looking after yourself, taking time out when you need it. And, you know, just
Yeah,
spending that time to make sure you're eating right, or that you've got regular sleep. That's self-care. Going and
yeah.
getting that massage you should get, and not worrying about being too busy all the time. You've got to look after yourself. And when you think about sharing, and you're doing something good for someone else, yes, it's okay to feel good about what you've done. A lot of people think, oh, I shouldn't feel good that because I've actually gained something. No, no, no. If you've done something good, it's okay if you get something back, and it's okay that you earn money from doing what you do because you're
Absolutely.
helping people in your business, in their business, whatever. And so people have this thought that, oh, I shouldn't feel good about getting something back. I'm just supposed to help others feel good. And that's not necessarily um,
Yeah.
conducive to a good lifestyle. You've got to feel good about doing what you're doing, and you've got to feel good about yourself.
You know what is the highest frequency in the universe? That of love. How do you reach that? By helping others.
Yeah.
And each time I help someone, especially someone that has nothing to give you back other than a tremendous smile full of gratitude,
That's very
that
heartwarming. That's heartwarming. It's
I call,
actually that gets the oxytocin going around, and the feel good hormones, serotonin, and all those sort of things. You feel good. It gives you a buzz. So why shouldn't
yes,
you have that if you've done something good?
absolutely.
You know?
When you help someone truly, the feeling you get is incredible. I call that orgasm for the soul. It
Mm,
really
mm.
elates you in a way that nothing else does. And also, yes, you're helping the person, but also ultimately helping yourself because it makes you feel good. It elevates your frequency and makes you want to do more of it. It's almost like a drug.
It is kind of like that. I
The more
agree.
people you help, the more you're going to be helped in the process and along the path.
That's right. Now, I just have a question. I want to ask you, what do you do about your diet and what you eat? Are you careful what you eat?
I am more and more careful, not as much as I know I should be or I could be, but I am careful. One of the reasons I live in Vietnam is because the food is one of the healthiest in the world.
Mm.
They don't eat much, crap, fast food or fried food. It's all
A lot of
very healthy food.
vegetables. Yeah, and good
Vegetables,
protein.
very, very, very healthy food.
Mm.
Vietnamese people are very thin. I can count on one hand the number of times I've seen overweight or fat people in Vietnam in almost 9 months.
Mm.
Whereas each time I go back to Canada, even on the plane, I see more people in that flight that are obese and fat than in a year and a half in Asia, for example. So
Yeah.
yes, I eat healthy food. I walk a lot. I do. So when people ask me, "What's your medical coverage?" I say my medical coverage is about 10 to 15 kilometers walking each day, 4 sets of 50 push-ups, and eating clean, feeding my not only my body but also my mind was positive things. I consume podcasts all the time. I love books. Unfortunately, I don't have time to read books, but I consume audibles or I download videos from YouTube and I listen to them when I'm on walks or podcasts.
Yeah.
So again, it's not just the body but also the mind and the spirit. I surround myself with positive people, people that uplift me, not people that drag me down.
Yes.
Whoever drags me down, whoever creates stress in my life, doesn't matter who they are. I tell them from the get go, if you create stress in my life, I will let you go. I don't
Mm.
care who you are.
Mm. I,
And
I think a lot of people
yeah,
want to belong somewhere and they join groups or get into a group of people that are not really good for them just because they want to belong somewhere. So it's very important to choose your tribe, people that you resonate with who are, as you said, positive and helpful and supportive. They're the sort of people you want to hang out with, not people that are toxic or no good for you. Yes.
yeah, just the
Distance
same,
yourself.
just like the saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend most time with. So be
That's right.
careful.
Show me your friends, I'll show you who you are. That's it.
Absolutely.
Yes. So that's a very good healthy formula. Healthy
Thank you.
food, physically active and
Oh, yes.
mentally learning, kind of continually learning things and bettering yourself and your life.
And putting yourself in service to others, helping others, because when you help others, you're ultimately helping yourself back.
Yes.
Because we're all connected, come back to you in spade. So
Yeah. That's always an aspect I ask all of my interviewees because that doing bigger than self projects
mhm.
gives you great reward
Oh yes.
well to see the success and change in someone's life,
Yeah.
you know. So it's not just all about what we do and what we can achieve, it's about what we can contribute back.
Mhm. Exactly. It's not about the money because if you focus only money, sure, you will make money, but after a time you will get burned out and you'll feel empty because is it all there is to it? No, it has to have a purpose, something bigger than money,
That's
bigger
right.
than yourself, a
I,
cause.
yes, I agree.
Yeah. So
That's awesome. Thank you
yeah,
very much
you're
for
welcome.
being on my show today, Payman. I've really appreciated having you here. And we covered some really good um, points, actually, to help people, uh, well, chew on what we've
Pleasure's all mine.
discussed. Yeah.
Pleasure's all
And,
mine.
and hopefully it helps to instigate a change, a positive change in their life. And
Absolutely.
thank you for being so honest about the difficulties you faced, when
Pleasure's all mine.
you didn't have any money. You were basically homeless and you humbled yourself and allowed someone to help you. And I'm sure that they were happy to help you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The right people always come into your path. One saying that always believe in is God never gives you anything that you cannot overcome,
No, there's always
regardless
a
of
way out.
religion.
Yeah, there's always a
Regardless of
way out.
religion. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, life is it's not what happens to you, but what make of it. instead of asking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
basically, because I've done NLP, master practitioner NLP, and people who let life happen to them, they're at what we call, they're at cause, because everything that happens, it causes them a problem. Everything's causing them heartache, and it's causing all their problems and things like that. So they are victims basically. But when you are at effect, you have an effect on your life. You have an effect on all the things you can control. And so you're living a much more positive life. And that's where life actually happens for you, not to you.
absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think at this point we'll say thank you very much for being on my show. And I wish you all the success in your business. And thank you once
Thank you.
again for being on my
I
Best
graciously
Wellness Interviews.
appreciate and receive those blessings. Thank you so much. And I wish the same for you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Payman.
You're welcome. Take care. Cheers.